So Rich, thanks for having me today. Welcome, everybody. As Rich said, I'm Bobby McCullough. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about SOAPs. Now, that may be a new term for you. It's a new term for us, but IT terms are a little bit like the weather in Tennessee. If you don't like it today, stick around for a day or so because it's bound to change. And SOAPs is a new Gartner term. It stands for Service Orchestration and Automation Platforms. And previously, this would have been something that you might have called workload automation. BMC has been a leader in this area for well over 12 years. And I believe now we may be pushing 15 years. It's a simple, powerful, and proven solution. Help you with service orchestration and automation within your environment. Most organizations have really disparate systems that different teams schedule their processes through. Maybe, there's some of it on the mainframe, some of it in the cloud, various versions of Windows and Linux. And if you're a big enough organization, you might have 200,000 to 300,000 jobs a day that are going through. And as IT, like anything else, technology evolves, it changes over time. Those jobs are really only going to get bigger and more complicated as time moves on. Now, you may have SMEs for each tool or each scheduler, but this leads to challenges with responsiveness, SLA requirements, and with respect to staff turnover or time off. So it can really get complicated having those spread across your entire system. So think about billing, a billing system that your organization may have, or a budgeting system that your organization may have. You've got information that's going to come in to that system from multiple sources, different tools, different business units, departments, and staff. Maybe GL statuses. All of this then goes to feed your billing or your budgeting system at the end of the month or the end of the year. Whenever this happens, you're going to get calls to your help desk wanting to know the status. When's it going to be ready? When's it going to be ready? Are we there yet? And compliance requirements around these billing rules really make it difficult to respond quickly and easily. And the help desk people, they're not the best. They're getting the phone calls. They're not really the best ones to help with understanding the status of these multiple jobs in these disparate systems. And so when you think about this, what this might look like, the first thing that I think of is noise. It's noise in the job logs and the output, the requests that inundate the help desk. Noise in translating those requests it's very difficult. And so how can Flycast and BMC help in those areas? So managing a few 100,000 jobs a day can be a little bit like a Cub Scout father. Several years ago, my son was a Cub Scout, and we went to a cave trip where you spend overnight in the cave. And our first trip there, it's really neat. It's a beautiful cave. It's in a mountain here in Tennessee. A little concerned about sleeping on the rock floor in the cave. But the first thing I noticed is not only do all those little boys in the cave look the same in the dark or the dim light that they had in the cave, they also sound the same. They've all got that little boy voice at this age in Cub Scouts, so it's nearly impossible to pick out which kid is yours. And so the second year we went, I bought some a fluorescent necklace for my son, one of those little necklaces you break and pull the ends together, and he could make it a necklace. Very easy to pick out. Didn't matter about the voice, didn't matter about the light, didn't matter where he was or how many kids were around. I could always pick him out. And I know that it was a good thing because the third year that we went, Duncan wasn't the only one there with a fluorescent necklace. So visualization, being able to see what was going on and differentiate what I'm seeing from other noise that might be around. That's key. And that's key with your IT processes. And so think again about a process or a service that happens with your organization. Maybe it's, a billing or a budgeting app. Maybe it's something that you use to support your staff out in the field, out remotely. And so we're going to call that your app. And your app is really an amazing tool. It brings together lots of data sets from other sources that you have, customers for your CRM or end users from your CRM, location information from your facilities group, combining that together with maybe budgeting information from your finance group. All of that comes together to deliver this tool called your app, and it's really amazing. But that's an example of a digital service. It's the combination of infrastructure and data sources together that then provide output that your team is using within this solution called your app. And so, as companies manage their digital enterprise, their digital services like your app, that's going to mean different things to different organizations. So, again, those digital services are typically the result of infrastructure, systems, application, and processing, all working together in some expected way. And what you're seeing here is the SelfService Control app. And so this is a way for remotely or mobilely for those of you that are working on those SOAPs, those service orchestration and automations within your environment. This gives you a single point of entry to view all of those processes, all of those associations within those processes within the tool. The same way that your app helps your staff with what they're doing. This tool helps. This mobile app helps your stakeholders, business owners, and end users understand what's going on with their automation. You're able to eliminate calls to the help desk. What's going on with my process? I don't need to call. I've got that information right here from the app. So if we continue on with our here, I guess it's called Oscar. But here, if we keep along with our your app example, we think about all that processing and everything that might be happening. Maybe some data is coming from Linux, from a mainframe, multiple Windows systems. All comes together to supply that tool that you're using. Being able to know that service is late. Being able to drill into understanding where that service is breaking down, where is it late? That's key to being proactive. Otherwise you're just being reactive when something doesn't finish right. And think about this. Think about the naming scheme here. So, a lot of times jobs are named something that is acceptable to the operating system that they're running through, and so sometimes maybe that leads to naming systems like job X1Z2. And so what happens when someone calls the help desk to find out what's going on with job X1Z2? Well, help desk doesn't know anything about that. With a tool like ControlM from BMC, you can name that process something logical, something that everybody understands, the business stakeholders understand, the IT team understands, something meaningful. And so right there, you're able to then support your users more easily and gain some efficiency through the system from naming convention as well as proactive notification. So what all can we bring together here? So again, we talked about your app being an example of a service. Maybe your app brings together software that's running out in the cloud somewhere. You've got some big data solutions that you're maybe pulling some data from to help populate the solution. Just all across the board here. I'm not going to go through each of these, but you can look and see lots of different areas within your IT environment that we're able to connect to. All of these listed here are out of the box. BMC has a long history of releasing out of the box integrations. And so you're not going to find another SOAP solution to clean your processes to be able that can access more systems than BMC's ControlM. So what do you do about something that you've got that's not out of the box? And so BMC provides an out of the box integrator where you can easily create integrations with other third-party applications or maybe your homegrown solutions. Very easy to do. We can show you how to do that. You don't need to be a developer to write those integrations. Obviously, a little bit of knowledge in that area helps, but we can definitely help you create those integrations. So ControlM helps you for today with all of those products that it's supporting, but it also is ready to help you down the road when things change and you've got new things that you might need to bring in or homegrown things that you might need to bring in. So let's move on. Assume we've integrated our solution with the data warehouse, the CRM, all the relevant applications, and all the workload is defined in ControlM. And so we've got the ability in ControlM to categorize or group subsets of those jobs into a service and like I said earlier, name that service something that's relevant to the business. And so maybe we can identify 20, 30 jobs that are needed to complete budgeting process or payroll. And so this is true of all your IT processes. They're in a cave where the sound makes them hard to locate. They all look the same in the dark. Your billing manager needs to know when his process is going to be completed. He wants to know when it's going to complete, what stage it's at currently, and how does help desk understand this? How do they see this information from the 200,000 or so jobs maybe running right now within your environment? Understanding is difficult. The first thing you need to do is move all these processes, obviously, to a single pane of glass so that you can see across platform, across application, relationships between the jobs. Now, let's stop for a second and define what a job is. A job is it's a file transfer, it's a Unix script, it's a Hadoop job. It's any task, data load, scheduled process that you might need to run as a part of a process here. Maybe it's an FTP transfer. Maybe it's just a batch file or a script that needs to run. And so ControlM can provide you visibility into this entire business flow from creation through our auditing all the way through monitoring once it's deployed out in the environment. And so you're going to be able to understand historical context within the changes made to this process and understand what's going on. When you view a real-time view of the process, you understand right now what's run in green, what's coming up in gray. Yellow is what is currently executed. So real-time colors telling you exactly what's going on. So when we combine all those into a single interface, a single pane of glass, you're able to see the jobs, the relationships to the other jobs. All this is done with an industrialized back end. So you've got the necessary high availability and capacity to perform the work that's needed, that's delivered here through the presentation layer, provides visibility into your organization so you can effectively manage these jobs. ControlM helps you create optimized infrastructure across all your disparate technologies so that you can ensure that the processes are running. You're able to define these relationships between the tasks and define which ones are critical to the completion of the job, completion of the whole set of processes that you've defined. And so here we've defined this batch, win.bat. It has to be, it's critical. It has to be completed by 6:30. And so now we're going to be able to dynamically track what all is a predecessor for that job, what all is required for that job. If that's the key, what has to happen within this whole collection of jobs in order for that to be done by 6:30. And so we're going to keep an eye on that. This adds that service level component so that you're able to identify and again, weed out some of the noise within your system and understand in this instance right now, I've got a Java process that's running that looks like it's taking long. This is definitely going to impact the completion of this job by 6:30. But so this allows me to be proactive. I'm not just responding when the manager calls and says, "Hey, your job is late. What's going on?" And then your help desk is having to scramble. You know ahead of time what's going on so that you can respond to it proactively and understand that the job is running late and get something done about it before the customer responds. So ControlM is going to give you real-time historical information at your fingertips. It allows you to predict your need for greater capacity. As your processes run over time, you might discover that they're taking up more and more resources. They begin to run slower and slower. That can easily be identified through the service monitor, and then you can use that to right-size your infrastructure. You're able to understand slack time within any of your processes. Basically how much time can be wasted, or how much time over can some of the processes go for us to still finish on time. And so that's an ongoing metric that the system provides for you. You can do trending analysis. You can look at history, trends over through history. You can share those with your stakeholders as well. Now, all of this information is available, obviously, on the web, on a PC, but we also have apps for iPhones, Androids, and tablets. So your users are going to have a friction-free experience. They're no longer tied to their desks. They no longer have to be tied to their desks to get the answers to their questions about their what we used to say as workload automation, but they're SOAP currently. So one constant in IT is change. Whether it's end user requirements, applications, or regulations, IT is always changing. So how do we increase agility without adding risk? And so ControlM is developed with agility in mind. It provides a simple, intuitive desktop for the creation of these complex workflows. It's a simple drag and drop interface. You can publish this out to your DevOps team. Well, your DevOps team can actually use this interface as well. We'll talk about that in just a second. A self-service portal where your users can come in and make requests for these processes to be created for them as well. This is gonna decrease tickets immediately within your help desk. So I mentioned DevOps. So DevOps is going to have their own portal within the system. ControlM does a great job of working with DevOps. That's not just they don't have access to this drag and drop portal. They also can, a lot of times DevOps speaks in their own language, JSON, and so we can ingest JSON files and use that to generate these processes and jobs. So very flexible, stable, and scalable solution. So again, along the lines with that change process, you're going to enable users with the web interface. You're going to be able to set standards. So naming conventions for your jobs and processes. You can enforce rules how those processes can be created here. Agent host name must begin with prod for PRD for production servers. So you're able to build those business rules that, maybe you've got them, they're in a spreadsheet or a document that you hand out. You're actually able to incorporate those rules into the solution so they're enforced and simplify your change process. So another nice feature with ControlM is the ability to enable continuous delivery. So you're able to sort of define these deployment pipelines, and this is where an application or a service goes from dev to QA, from QA to prod. And so you're able to define that pipeline. And so today, a lot of organizations that go through these processes that create jobs on whatever tools, they go through a dev process, and then they have to repoint everything they've created to their QA environment. So now they can go through the QA process with it. And then when they finally migrate that over to production, they then have to do that again with all those disparate jobs through all those disparate systems. And that creates error. It's fraught with error. By allowing you to define this deployment pipeline, you can easily migrate your jobs from one environment to the other, one deployment area to the other, enabling continuous discovery. Very, very helpful feature. Ensures accuracy, basically eliminating errors completely from that change process of moving along that pipeline. So as things change in your SOAP environment, they're often growing as well. So we already talked about integration with more applications through a single point of control is key. Doing that, though, means that retention and compliance requirements regarding output and log management are going to become even more and more important. So ControlM allows your administrators to set policies for those output and log retention requirements. And so you can ensure that if you need to provide metrics or information from an audit, you're quickly able to do that right from the solution. However, storing the data is only a small part. How quickly you can access that data is important. And so I'll show you a little bit of the architecture of ControlM in a minute, and you'll understand how we can archive those logs off and make it easy to access, because that can be a large data set that you might be pulling through there. Again, auditing compliant, all that information that's stored in the solution, it's also archived. It's all available for audit and compliance purposes. Metrics are going to be gathered about the processes and the complete change process. You're going to be able to understand what changed when and by whom. You'll be able to monitor actions and activities by individuals through audit reports. These can be delivered out to inboxes. You've also got the ability to view them through the portal. The integrated reporting facility comes with lots of out-of-the-box reports that are already available. And as you move from, if you're like most organizations, you've got multiple scheduling tools. As you move from a scheduling tool to really a self-service SOAP tool, you're going to be able to use application-specific auditing so that you can know exactly who did what, when, so that when things go wrong, the first question you can ask is what changed. You can answer when that first question is asked. You can easily answer that quickly. So again, speaking about reports, ControlM Reports has a great reporting facility. Allows you to generate a lot of information on your batch activity, alerts, auditing report, trends analysis. It's designed as a thin client, constantly adding performance enhancements because we understand this is crunching large data sets, and you need to get to it quickly. So we're constantly adding performance enhancements, a modern interface to allow you to get to that information and allow you to repeat, save reporting elements that you select, filters that you might define, allow you to save those to make regenerating that very easy. So overall, ControlM is provides simplified scheduling and reporting around all of your processes, regardless of solution or operating system. We're constantly adding new features within those scheduling and reporting to allow you to create less jobs, doing things like defining folders and cyclical folders. This is probably getting into more than you might like to know right now, but in the creation of those large job tasks, you've got groupings you can create within those large jobs. Those occur within folders, and you're able to create cyclic folders so that the process can run repeatedly through all the jobs within that folder. Well, that allows you to create less jobs. Less jobs is less cost, less risk for you guys. Finally, we've talked about ControlM's ability to manage all your applications. I haven't really talked much about managing ControlM itself. BMC has heavily invested in this area and continues to heavily invest to make ControlM incredibly easy to manage. You've got automated client deployment, allow your administrators to ensure that all their users are up to date. Automated agent deployments and patching with zero downtime, so it reduces total cost of ownership, improves your infrastructure optimization, as well as agentless technology, so that you can reduce your footprint. So a little bit about the architecture. You've got the ControlM client that you can access. This is the tool where you will build the workflow automations. You've got the self-service portal and manage file transfer portal to allow your users to make requests for ControlM, check the status of what's going on with ControlM, and also to initiate their managed file transfers as well. Application integrator allow you to create those integrations with those third-party or homegrown solutions that you might be that you might have. Workload change manager for your DevOps team, managing those changes, integrating their JSON, as well as the automation API, where you bring in any other solutions that you might need to bring in that we don't already have a connector for. So you're going to have the ControlM Enterprise Manager. You have a separate workload archiving server just to push that data set off, which can be quite large. You have lots of options within the jobs on logging what's occurring, and so that logging can get quite extensive. So we can push that off to a separate server to take advantage of those resources and to separate those processes from the actual processing of your jobs. You're also going to have distributed systems that ControlM for mainframe that you might need to manage, and ControlM agents out on the machines, as well as agentless hosts that you might need to connect to. And so ControlM allows you to distribute that workload. We're able to define a control bench so that technicians can easily come in and access these and distribute that work through your environment, so there's not a bottleneck with it being processed through that environment. And again, we doesn't really care what that solution is. We most likely have an out-of-the-box integration for it. In the unlikely event we don't, we're going to be able to create one for you. So BMC, 25% of everything that they make from ControlM goes back into development. So it's a stable, robust tool, constantly being with new capability and features added to it. Here's a few of the things that were added just in the last few years. Big data, that's become a connector that's available right here as it's become very popular. JCL Verify, obviously iOS and Android, and continuous development in all of these areas. So benefits, you probably already recognize those from what we've covered so far. Eliminating calls to the help desk, early detection of potential SLA breaches, so allow you to be proactive, allow you to respond before that end user calls you looking for a response. Allow you to do faster root cause analysis and problem resolution. You can get right to if a large process is running late, you can immediately identify what element of that process is causing the problem, doing faster root cause analysis. Simplified job creation and change management, that integration with your DevOps team, allowing them to bring those JSON files in, helps reduce their time to production. That interface, the simple, easy to use, very user-friendly interface, all helps reduce time to production. Historical and predictive analytics. So the tool really does a great job, as I mentioned earlier, of giving you that historical information of what's going on, what's happened in the past, but also predictive analytics, where it tells you, hey, we're running late. This process is taking too long. We need to do something about it now. Full audit capability, so all your data can be saved. So however far you need to go back to review those audit history logs, what's going on, full audit capability is all available there. So what's next? Wow, Bobby, that was great. Where do we go from here? Well, you need to identify the total cost of your. It looks like I need to update this slide. The total cost of your SOAPs, your service orchestration and automation. Identify areas of risk. Where else can you automate and analyze best practices? These are all things that we can help you with. We can help you identify, make that business case for migrating to a tool like ControlM. And you can see here from some of these numbers how organizations have reduced their cost, reduced activities, all relative to implementing ControlM. So, Rich, we've got about 5 minutes left. I wanted to stop there and see if maybe we had any questions.
Folks, I have solicited any questions you might have. Now's the time to ask. We're happy to take questions. We've got a couple minutes left to answer a few. Please type your questions in. I'll read them off to Bobby. I can't imagine you're not having at least a couple questions about this, but so far we don't have any. And if you're a little bashful and don't want to ask your question live today during our presentation, by all means, feel free to reach out to us at 844-FLYCAST. That's 844-359-2278. Or you can go ahead and go to our website, chat with us live Monday through Friday during regular business hours. And we have folks standing by to get the answers that you require, whether it be data sheets, white papers, a demo, whatever that might be. Here is a question. We have ControlM installed on-prem, and we couldn't complete our nightly jobs without it. Is there a hosted instance of ControlM? Boy, that's a great question. BMC just got done having a whole thing about that recently.
So, Rich, tell us what you learned, because it sounds like you learned something that I didn't know.
That is something I think that they're in the works on doing, is trying to make some changes with the software, from what I gathered from an early on meeting earlier this year. I don't know exactly where they're at with that, but I know that was discussed in one of the meetings.
Yes, SaaS and the cloud is in greater and greater demand. And so a lot of solutions out there in the marketplace, like ControlM, that have been on premise, they're migrating to having a cloud or SaaS offering, and ControlM is no different.
We have to stand by on that one.
Yep.
Anything else? Yeah, any other questions, folks? Thanks for the question, Marcus. And like I said, any other questions, please go ahead and feel free. You can even email us questions at info@flycastpartners.com. We'll be happy to get those answers for you. And Marcus, I'm glad to hear that that your organization is having great success with ControlM. That's fantastic. And a lot of folks that we have chatted with that do have ControlM instances, so they would never go back. So it's replaced multiple tools throughout their organization. And I know Bobby could probably talk about that all day, but we're about out of time here. Any other final thoughts, Bobby?
Anybody that wants the fluorescent necklace for your IT automation and workloads, give us a call. We can definitely help with that.
Very good, folks. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day. And just as a reminder, all those, oh, here we go. Here's another question. Let's see. You mentioned self-service portable for ControlM. How will this work with DWP? That's a good question.
That's a great question. Rich, if you can get a name and an email, I will follow up. I will follow up with that.
Okay, I'll get that information over to you, and I'll have you go ahead and reach out to them directly and get that answer to them. Great question. We love it when you challenge us, folks. We learn as well. So once again, you can go ahead and email us any additional questions, info@flycastpartners.com. All those in attendance today, if you're an IT government agency, an IT and a commercial agency, whatever that is, for taking time out of your busy day to join us as a gift, we'll be sending you a Domino's $10 gift card within the next 5 business days following this event. So give us at least 5 business days. I appreciate your time. It's just our show of appreciation. With that being said, folks, stay safe out there. Bobby, thank you very much for taking the time out to show us today. Very much appreciated you showing us a little bit about SOAPs and educating us on SOAPs. I know before the last week, I didn't know anything about SOAPs, so thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Very good. And with that being said, folks, enjoy the rest of your week.